So guys, moving on with chapter 4. Remember, the demand curve shown us the relationships between the price and quantity demanded, and price of the product is going to determine our quantity demanded, taking into consideration that other things staying the same. Those other things are non-price determinants that we're going to talk about in this video, and those non-price determinants, this is something else that going to make buyers to demand the product, to demand more of the product or to demand less of that product. And these non-price determinants, we can call them shifters or determinants, are going to shift our demand curve. Remember, when the price of the product was changing, we said that quantity demanded was changing, and we were moving along the line, moving along our demand curve. But when non-price determinant changes, I call it usually some kind of economic event happen on the market, then demand curve is going to shift. And this is what we're going to talk about in this video. What are those 5 determinants of the demand curve? So guys, the very first determinant of the demand curve is going to be income. I highly recommend you to take a piece of paper and write it down with me so you can reinforce your learning. You will remember what is going on the graph. So let's suppose we have initial demand curve. So we have initial demand curve, and the event that is going to happen on the market is that income of the population is going to change. And let's suppose that income, I'm just going to do it in general, is going to decrease. So just think about, if you have less money in your pocket, let's suppose we're going into the recession and people are losing jobs and you have less money in your pocket, what do you think is going to happen with the demand for goods and services? Demand for goods and services is going to decrease. So when income of the population is decreasing, or your income is decreasing, you're going to buy less goods and services. So therefore, we can show on the graph that in this situation, demand is going to shift, remember, down and to the left, down and to the left. This is decreasing demand. And then second, if income, this is number 2, if income of the population is going to increase, then what do you think is going to happen with the demand for goods and services? Yes, demand for goods and services is going to increase because now we have more money in our pockets, and therefore we're going to buy more goods and services. So over here, I'm going to show that increase in demand represented exactly by shifting demand up and to the right. So when we talk about changing income, guys, we need to differentiate 2 goods. And the very first one is going to be a normal good. So normal good, this is a good for which all else equal, an increase in income is going to lead to an increase in demand for that good, and vice versa. A decrease in income is going to lead to a decrease in demand for that good. So usually this is how I write it down. So for normal good, taking into consideration all else stays the same. If income of the population is increasing, then demand for that good is going to increase, and vice versa. For normal good, if income of the population is decreasing, then demand for that good is going to decrease. Remember, we're talking about changing demand. We're going to shift the curves, guys, and a lot of goods are going to be normal goods in our economy. Like if your income is decreasing, you're going to buy less cell phone. If your income is decreasing, then you're going to buy, I don't know, probably less clothes. The second good that we need to differentiate when we talk about changing income, so the second good that we need to differentiate is going to be inferior good. And for inferior good, this is when if your income is increasing, you're going to buy less of that inferior good. So your income is increasing, demand for inferior good is going to decrease, and vice versa. If your income is decreasing, what are you going to do? You're going to buy less of that good. I'm sorry, if your income is decreasing, you're going to buy more of that inferior good. So what kind of example can be of inferior good? Usually I give, example to my students, for example, Food Lion brand. So like instead of, for example, brand, if your income is, let's suppose, decreasing, you lost your job. Now instead of buying some kind of organic sour cream or Daisy sour cream, now you're going to buy Food Lion brand because that brand is actually cheaper. So demand for cheaper brands are going to increase. Or, let's suppose dollar menu in McDonald's, it's going to be inferior good. Just think about, if your income is decreasing, now you have less money, what are you going to do? You're not going to buy expensive steak, you're going to buy more of a dollar menu because you have less income. So therefore demand for that dollar hamburger in McDonald's is going to increase, and vice versa. Just think about, if your income is increasing, the demand for dollar menu in McDonald's is going to decrease because now people have more money. They're saying, well, you know what, instead of buying that cheap dollar burger in McDonald's, I am going to purchase a more expensive steak, or I'm going to purchase more expensive burger or steak. So therefore, remember, for normal goods, income and demand, they kind of moving in the same direction. Income is increasing, the force is moving in the same direction. Demand is increasing, income is decreasing, demand for normal good is going to decrease. And for inferior good, when income is increasing, you buy less of it. So another actually good example is going to be public transportation. So, and living in Greenville is probably like hard to understand, but just think about, if your income is increasing, you're saying, you know what, now I have money to pay for gas, I have money to pay for car repairs, for car insurance, therefore I'm going to purchase car. Demand for public transportation is going to decrease, and vice versa. If people are losing jobs, okay, the income of the population is decreasing, usually demand for public transportation is increasing because people don't have money to buy gas, to buy car, and to repair car and pay for the insurance. They're saying, we're not purchasing a car, we're going to use public transportation, therefore demand for public transportation is increasing. Okay, next one. So guys, next determinant is going to be very important determinant, and usually students kind of having a hard time to grasp this concept. And so the name of the determinant is price of related good. So let's suppose over here we have demand for latte. So price and quantity, remember demand downward sloping line. And the first event that is going to happen, that price of related good is going to change. So this is demand for latte. So guys, what can be related to latte? And you probably can tell coffee, cafe mocha, frappuccino. So these are all the kind of related good because they're coffee flavor like, they have caffeine and stuff like that. So therefore, let's suppose that price of mocha is going to, let's suppose, decrease. Our question is, how is this change in the price of mocha going to influence our demand for latte? And the answer is going to be, think about it for a second on your own. So demand for latte is actually going to decrease. So how is it so? Just think about it. Let's suppose you like going to Starbucks, and you go into Starbucks and you like to buy lattes. And you come to Starbucks today and you see that price of mocha has actually decreased. Mocha is going to be on sale. So mocha is going to be today $1.50 less. You're kind of looking and saying, well, you know what, mocha is going to satisfy the same needs. It has coffee flavor, it has caffeine, it's warm, has milk and stuff like that. So since price of mocha is less, you're going to buy more mocha, but you're going to buy less latte. So demand for latte is going to decrease. And remember, when demand for latte is decreasing, we're going to shift our demand down and to the left. So this is going to be demand 1. So guys, this event 1 corresponds with this demand 1. So think about it one more time. This is price of the related good. Over here on our graph, we have demand for latte. If price of related good is changing, then demand for latte is going to change. The entire curve is going to shift. So let's move to the next one, and it's going to be a little bit more clear. So number 2, let's suppose that the price of mocha is going to actually increase. So what do you think is going to happen with the demand for latte? So just think about it. You like going to Starbucks. You go to Starbucks 3 times a week, and you usually buy mocha. You come to Starbucks today, and price of mocha is actually $1.50 more. What do you think you're going to do? You're looking around and you're saying, well, you know what? The price of latte stays the same or stay the same. You know, latte actually, have caffeine. It has coffee flavor. It's warm. It has milk. So instead of buying mocha, I actually going to buy latte. So therefore, demand for latte in this situation is going to increase. So this is when the price of the, it is going to increase. Did I say it correctly? So this is when the price of the related good is changing. So to show this on the graph, remember, increase in demand is going to be representing shifting our demand up and to the right. So guys, when we're talking about price, the change of the price of the related good, we need to differentiate 2 goods. So the first good is going to be substitutes. And substitutes, so if you're going to look at the definition is in the book, it's going to be this long definition that these are the 2 goods for which all else equal, an increase in the price of good 1 leads to an increase in demand for good 2. Pretty much this is what we're talking about over here. Substitutes, these are going to be the goods when the price of good 1, I'm going to put over here price of good 1 is increasing, then demand for good 2 is going to increase. These are the substitutes. And vice versa, if the price of good 1 is going to decrease, then demand for good 2 is going to decrease as well. So guys, the example of the substitute, let's suppose we're going to take as example of Coke and Pepsi. So just think about it. If the price of good 1, for example, Pepsi, is increasing, we're not going to buy Pepsi because now it's expensive. We're going to buy something that related to that. We're going to buy Coke. And therefore, demand for Coke is going to increase. So these are the substitutes. We can buy something instead of that good. Or let's suppose we can take an example like pizza and hamburgers. They're related. So if the price of pizza is increasing, you're going to say, you know what? I'm not actually buying pizza. What I'm going to do instead of pizza, I'm going to buy hamburgers. And therefore demand for hamburgers are going to increase. So this is the example for substitutes. And another example or another product that we need to know within this determinant, price of the related good, are going to be complements. And for complements, this is when the price of good 1 is increasing, then the demand for the complement for good 2 is going to decrease, and vice versa. Price of good 1 is decreasing, so it works the other way. Then demand for good 2 is going to increase. So remember guys, complements, this is something that goes together. Let's suppose we're going to take chips and salsa. Okay, so you come to the store and you were intended to purchase salsa. So you come to the store and the price of salsa has actually increased tremendously. For whatever reason, let's suppose extreme example, it's doubles. So when the price of salsa has increased, you're saying, you know what, I'm not buying salsa now. Therefore, if you're not buying salsa, you're not going to buy chips. And the price of chips, or not the price, but the demand for chips then is going to decrease. Okay, so, or let's suppose another example can be, you know, cream cheese and bagels. So if the price of bagels is increasing, let's suppose over here the price of bagels is increasing, you're saying, you know what, I'm not going to buy bagels because they, for some reason, they increase, they double in price. If you're not buying bagels, therefore you're not buying cream cheese, and therefore demand for cream cheese is actually going to decrease. Okay, and vice versa. Remember, if the price of salsa is decreasing, you're saying, oh, salsa is actually on sale right now. The price is very low. I'm buying salsa. Therefore, if I'm buying salsa, I'm going to buy chips. So demand for chips for good too is actually going to increase. So this is going to be our complements. Guys, once again, in the book, you have this long definition that complements are the two goods for each, all else equal. The increase in price of one good leads to a decrease in the price of the other good that is a complement. So if you know a kind of this, you know, market forces, price of good one is increasing, demand for good two is decreasing, write it down somewhere, you know, have like a little cheat sheet, and you know, this is really easy then to, you know, learn this, the difference between these two goods. Okay, one more thing that I wanted to mention in this video, guys, remember, we said in the previous videos, and this is very important to understand, that when we are talking about change in quantity demanded, it means we're talking about moving from one point to another point on our graph. And the reason for this change in quantity demanded is because our price is changing. Okay, remember, that's quantity one, that's quantity one, and that's quantity. So remember, we said over here, I want you to pay attention and understand, it's very important to know the difference between quantity demanded and demand, and change in quantity demanded and demand. We said over here that, here you go, the price of Mocha has changed, has decreased. And we're saying, well, demand for latte has actually decreased. Remember, this happening over here because we're talking about two different goods. When the price of Mocha has changed, our question is, how does that influence demand for a different product, for latte? Well, demand is going to change, and therefore we're going to have a shift in demand. My question is, guys, when the price, this is a tricky question, when the price of Mocha is changing, let's suppose over here, I have a little bit of a space over here. Let me correct that. So now I'm going to draw over here graph, and this is going to be demand for Mocha. For Mocha, tell me, when the price of Mocha is changing, how is that going to be represented on this demand curve? So price of the Mocha has changed. Okay, we said that demand for latte is shifting. But when the price of the Mocha has changed, what is going to happen with the demand for Mocha? And a lot of students are saying demand for Mocha is going to shift up and to the right. And the answer is wrong, because remember, when the price of the product is changing, let's suppose we had initial price 1 and quantity 1. And now when the price of the Mocha is decreasing, if the price of the Mocha is decreasing, price 2, what happened on the graph? We're changing quantity demanded. We're moving along the line. We're not shifting the line. So therefore, when you're reading questions on the exam, when you're reading questions on the quizzes, make sure you pay attention. What do you have on your graph? If on your graph you have latte and we're changing the price of the related product, then demand for latte is going to change. But if we have on our graph Mocha and we're changing the price of Mocha, then quantity demanded for Mocha is going to change, not the demand. Here we had shift. Here we actually had movement along the demand curve. Please make sure you understand these differences.